Hi everybody, I'm Michael Fratrich from Michael Fratrich's 10-1 Gallery, and I'd like to welcome you all here to my home studio. There's a lot of new people joining us on this video to talk about this particular painting here, because this painting can be found in Fine Art Connoisseur magazine. And that magazine has a national following, or actually an international following. So we're going to have people from all over the nation, all over the world, joining in on this video to talk about this painting here. So I am Michael Fratrich, and I'm the owner of 10-1 Gallery in Lambertville. Lambertville, New Jersey, if you're unfamiliar with it, is the sister city to New Hope, Pennsylvania. The cities are divided by the Delaware River. But in the art community, a lot of people are familiar with New Hope because of the New Hope art colony that existed there in the late 1800s into the 1900s. With artists like Redfield and Sauter. It has a place in art history. So that's where we're located, just so you know. And my gallery, 10-1 Gallery, is located right in the heart of Lambertville, New Jersey. So if you're in the area, come and stop by. And for now, that's where you'll be able to see this painting. So what is this painting? So I have been inspired with what's been going on in the world of art lately and the resurgence of realism and academic training and talent that it takes to produce, great works of art like you would see in the museums, like your Bouguereaus and your Sargents and people like that. In other words, we're moving a little bit away from just hurling a bunch of paint onto the canvas and sticking it up on the wall and seeing what develops and stuff like this. We're talking about this resurgence in art where you intend to paint what you intend to paint, and you have the academic training to be able to pull it off. So I love that because I come from a realist background. That's my training. And you can see that exhibited a little bit in this figure here. However, I also love all these other styles of art, Impressionism in particular. But all of it. I love tonalism, and I like even a lot of the contemporary and modern art. I have a real fondness for it. So there has been this sort of movement in art going toward the realism, but some artists are taking it their own way. In particular, I'm thinking of Cesar Santos, who his skills are ridiculous, right? But he has also brought other aspects into his art, along with his draftsmanship and his ability to paint and all of his academic training. So he blends several different styles in a work of art. He calls it syncretism. Seeing all this happening in art, and with my love of all different kind of arts, but being founded in realism, that's what inspired me doing this painting here. Just seeing what's going on in the art world and wanting to be a part of it because it's already in me, and I'm seeing people on the Streamline art videos and all across Fine Art Connoisseur who are affirming the thoughts that I had in my head before I even discovered them. And so now to find a place for it and to see other people enjoying it as much as I do and wanting to produce it, it's a fascinating time in art, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And that's where this painting comes from. So every time you see sunflowers in the painting, you think Van Gogh, of course, because his sunflower paintings were so iconic. And since I love Impressionism so much and the techniques of broken color and all that sort of thing, I wanted to combine that, being inspired by what's going on in art and maybe some of Caesar's work and all, to syncretize a couple of forms of art, Impressionism and realism. And I wanted to put it together, and this is what you get. At least my vision for it. So you may not be able to see from this far, but we'll do some close-ups and you will be able to see all of this sort of impressionist technique and impasto kind of paint and all of the even broken color and everything in here and all of the visible brushstrokes and the texture and the beautifully decorative surface. And then when you look at the figure, you don't have any of that. It is executed in a very realist style. But I like the way it all came together. When I saw some of Caesar's work and all, I was like, wow, that's amazing. In my gallery, we'll go over there over the 10-1 gallery, you'll see that I work in all of these different styles of painting. Why not put them together and see what happens? I mean, I think anyone who comes into my gallery and sees this painting they won't say, oh my gosh, that's Impressionism combined with realism. Wow. They're just going to see this work of art and either like it or not, but hopefully really be moved by it. And that's the idea for putting these together. So I was, of course, inspired by Van Gogh. And Van Gogh, when he was doing some of his sunflowers, we have all the scholarship on this from all of the letters that he wrote his brother Theo and all that's been studied ad infinitum, right? But he intended two of his sunflower pictures to flank a big figurative painting of his. He almost wanted those two sunflower pictures to act as candlelight for that one figurative painting that he put in the middle. So we have all the scholarship on it, and when I saw that, I thought to myself, wow, I love that idea. And I don't think he ever got to do it because the sunflowers went one way and his figurative went one way. I don't think they were ever displayed all together. But I wanted to be able to do that. So before I started this painting, I did two sunflower paintings with the intent to put this one in the middle of them. Now we're going to go over the gallery and see them all hung together and talk about them a little bit. So what I wanted to do with them is make a more modern version of Van Gogh's sunflowers, sort of put my own spin on it. And I use stuff like gold leafing and all, and I put nice contemporary frames on them. And I intended this one to be in the middle. So let's go over to the gallery, see them all hung together, and talk a little bit more about it. And then we'll talk about how the painting was executed from start to finish. See you over at the gallery. So hi everybody, it's just me, Michael Fratrich, your friendly neighborhood artist, and we are here in my gallery, 10-1 Gallery, which is at 22 Bridge Street in Lambertville. And here is the painting, Flower of the Sun, that we've been speaking about. And you can see here now in the gallery how it is displayed between the sunflower paintings, because remember we're talking about one of Van Gogh's ideas for his sunflower paintings. We have all the scholarship about it from all the letters that he wrote his brother Theo. So one of his ideas when he was doing his sunflowers was to have two beautiful sunflower paintings on either side of a figurative painting. And we have the little sketches he made when he wrote to his brother about his plan for that. He wanted the sunflower paintings to almost act as candlelights for the painting to be displayed between them. So here's what something like that looks like here in the gallery, except I wanted to sort of update the idea a little bit. So on some of these sunflower paintings, you can see it's not a strict Van Gogh copy, because today's sensibilities, I think, maybe are a little bit different if you want a nice, saleable, decorative painting. So I actually put blooming sunflowers with the petals still on, where they haven't just gone to the seed heads like that. So I changed a little bit in the sunflower compositions. I wanted to make them a little bit more contemporary for today's sensibilities. So I used gold leaf at the bottom of them as well, and I put them, of course, in this nice, more contemporary style frame. So that's how they look with this beautiful figurative in the middle. And this figurative in the middle is very different than Van Gogh's figurative painting. You know, the style is completely different. I wanted to marry up and syncretize a couple of different styles of painting, Impressionism and really strict, almost academic realism. And that's what I've endeavored to do here in this painting. In the close-ups you can see all of the brushwork and the textured decorative surface of all these sunflowers and the background. And Van Gogh admirers will recognize this top portion of the painting as being borrowed from a Van Gogh painting. It wasn't one of his sunflower paintings, it was actually a field of irises. I really liked the top of that painting. I didn't follow his colors. I used colors that were more in line with my vision for this painting. But I did borrow the top of it in sort of my whole homage to Van Gogh. And of course I wanted to put a very realistic figure right in the middle of all of this broken color and decorative surface that you'd find more in Impressionism. So that's what I've done here, and I've already mentioned some of the influences like Caesar and all of the stuff going on with Fine Art Connoisseur magazine and streamlined art publishing, and just this awakening and renaissance and reawakening of realism and real academic art coming back to the forefront in today's art world. So those guys obviously are influences of mine. How can they not be? But also, I was studying Daniel Sprick before I undertook this painting too, and there's a fantastic painting of his that has been featured, I think, in those magazines, and followers of his will probably recognize the wonderful painting of a girl he put in a field. And even though he is very realistic, I like some of the things that he does with his paint and his sculpting of the paint. And in that beautiful painting that I'm talking about with the girl standing in a field, some of the grasses and all are very highly textured, and just, it's a lovely treatment of the surface of his painting. And I sort of had that in mind also when I was working out this painting here. That painting there is sort of a forerunner to this. Painted this before I painted this, and you know, I have some of the realism here in the flesh. And I'm such a fan of Impressionism and decorative surfaces, though, that I really took advantage of that and used some heavy brushwork here. So I was sort of working out my idea there for doing a very strict realism surrounded by a totally different style of painting. So this is what we have here, and I'm really pleased with the way that it all came out. I wish you all could be here in person to take a look at these. So what we haven't talked about yet is how did I create this painting. You've got the inspiration and the things that motivated me to do this, but how did I do it? Well, I think like a lot of artists, some of my preparation is similar to what they do. You know, I basically squared this up onto this panel and started there. You know, I begin always with something I call staining in. Really thin washes of color with no medium at all in it. I mean, very thin washes of color. For me, that sort of sets the drawing. I like to divide the work of drawing and then putting the paint on, like they did in old days with the monochromatic paintings and all that. You know, establish the drawing, so now you're not working on drawing and color. All you're working on after that is color. And for something like this, you're also working on, you know, the decorative surface. I mean, I pay attention to that when I'm using Impressionist techniques. I like the big, thick brush strokes of paint and knowing exactly where to put it and dashing it on like that. I used a Zorn palette really for the flesh and the figure here. I wanted to keep all the color in this really sun-baked. So when you look at it, you can almost feel the heat of the sun and feel what the model is experiencing within this picture too. So really, I just built it up layer over layer over layer. So I've been doing that for a long time. I like using the Zorn palette now. It worked in this, especially because of all the coloration. Like, there's no blue in this picture, and that's on purpose. You know, it's sort of almost as if you've taken a picture and run it through a filter. Or if you've ever seen the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The filters they used on that entire movie, there's no blue in it. It's all kind of sun-baked. And that was my vision, you know, for this painting, especially being viewed with the sunflowers on either side of it. So that's how I did it. I just built it up layer after layer, ended with a couple of glazes, and voila, you know, here it is. So that's how I built this one out. So thank you actually for joining me to find out a little bit more about this painting of mine. You know, if you're in the gallery, you can come in and see all the different styles of work that I do. So I hope you will. We're at 22 Bridge Street in Lambertville. And now, next time, in the next magazine, we're going to have something totally different in the next issue of Fine Art Connoisseur. So I'm sort of committed to being in there. I really love what's going on in the art world and how Eric Rhodes and all are sort of leading the charge for realistic paintings. And what artists nowadays are doing with them, and I'm really excited about it, really excited. It's a great time to have a gallery and be an artist. COVID or not, I don't care, there's exciting things happening in the art market. So until next time, in the next issue of Fine Art Connoisseur, keep an eye on the website here. Always interesting things happening. You don't want to miss it. All right, until then, I'm Michael Fratrich from Michael Fratrich's 10-1 Gallery. See you soon.